It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn. And
Justin Bieber might be about to lose all of his money, and you won't believe why. Even though he's worth about $300 million, Justin is supposedly struggling with his money on a day-to-day level, and he is not happy with the situation. But why is this even happening? How did he end up in this position? Justin hasn't exactly been the smartest when it comes to spending his money. Remember that $700,000 engagement ring he bought for his now wife, Hailey? That was one massive expense. But apparently he says that this one is not his fault. Justin is supposedly convinced that his financial managers are to blame for the whole thing. He thinks that they've mismanaged his money so badly that he's made a lot of losses in the past few years. So many, in fact, that he wants to sue them, which is honestly understandable if they truly did lose him a significant amount of money through their actions. But I just don't buy his story here at all. For one thing, this is his team. Couldn't he have just fired them if he thought they were responsible for this? Why keep them around for so long? It suggests that he's not really aware of what they're doing with his money, which is a terrible situation for someone with his amount of money. But secondly, if he's worth $300 million and he's struggling with his finances, you kind of have to question what he's doing. And even crazier, that is part of the problem. His own team can't agree on who is actually to blame here. Some advisors are on Justin's side, saying that he should absolutely sue to get the money back, which again is totally understandable if they are to blame. But others believe that the financial team was totally not to blame, and that all of that lost money can be traced back to one person. And that's Justin himself. Justin's spending habits have apparently been out of control since he first got famous, which makes total sense to me. I mean, he never truly had much of a normal life where he wasn't famous. He's been rich since he was a teenager. So obviously he's not going to know how to discipline himself or stick to a budget when he never actually had to. But the craziest thing is that his money problems are way bigger. At one point, his spending habits were so out of control that he apparently couldn't even get approved for a credit card. We're talking about a man worth $300 million and he can't even get a line of credit? That's crazy. I was honestly pretty shocked by that detail, but it just makes me more convinced that the real problem here is Justin and not the financial team. I mean, Justin has always been surrounded by people looking to take advantage of his fame and wealth, so it's not impossible to think that this could happen. But financial managers are on a whole nother level. And knowing Justin's history as we do, he's never seemed like the most responsible guy when it comes to money. I mean, let's go back to that time he dropped $700,000 on a diamond engagement ring for Hailey. His financial team supposedly urged him not to do it. They said that it was way too much money and that it would be a terrible investment. But Justin refused to listen and went to get a loan only to be rejected because of his past spending. And then he went and bought the ring anyway with his own money. This is another reason why I don't believe the financial team is responsible. Every piece of advice they gave him that we know about seems like a total no-brainer. But it's also the exact opposite of what Justin ended up doing. So you mean to tell me that Justin is upset because he's losing money doing the exact opposite of what he's being told to do? That just seems like he's totally doing this to himself. Supposedly, his monthly expenses also include houses, big donations to his pastor and church, and private jets. Although, even that is not happening now. Hailey was seen on a commercial flight recently, which is super unusual for them to do, given their level of fame. When I first heard about this, I honestly just assumed it was a response to all the climate criticism. I mean, at this point, going on a commercial flight is free positive press. And given all the speculation about Justin and Diddy, it's not the worst idea to distract from it all with some free positive attention. But actually, it's possible that Justin just can't afford the jet anymore. In fact, they are allegedly in the process of cutting out as many luxuries in their life as they possibly can in a last-ditch effort to save his fortune. It really seems like they are in trouble. And the craziest thing is that it's really obvious that Justin has no financial control and is impulse spending all the time, which is exactly what his team has supposedly been trying to tell him, but he just isn't listening. They've allegedly told him that he has to make serious changes to his spending habits or he will lose everything. And when we factor in that he has a new baby in his life, that's really not a road that they want to walk down. I think it's pretty obvious that whoever is encouraging him to sue is not exactly looking out for him. If he decides to sue his legal team, he's basically just burning more money because there's very little chance that he will win that. When your team has loudly urged you to cut spending or not buy something that you then bought, it's hard to argue otherwise. So I'm honestly wondering who is giving him the advice to sue his financial team at this point. And actually, I would not be surprised to see him fire his financial or legal team in the near future because of this. I mean, it's worth remembering that Justin has been slowly in the process of shifting his team entirely. Back in January 2023, he sold his entire music catalog for $200 million, which he thought was a smart move at the time. But that money has now dwindled, and he's been making a lot of moves since then. The biggest of which was firing his long-term manager, Scooter Braun. Now, Scooter said that he was just getting out of the manager game, but given that Justin had to hire a whole legal team just to get out of the contract, it seems like something else was going on there, which makes me think that all of these financial issues were bubbling up long before now. And I can't imagine, given his history, that Justin is the kind of guy that would be looking at his finances every other day. Maybe he thought that the extra $200 million would last a lot longer than it did. But when you're spending on houses and jewelry and private jet trips every week, that money is going to burn way faster than you would expect. Obviously, he's doing his best to cut down on all the luxuries and get back to a more sustainable and affordable lifestyle, but can he actually keep it down to a reasonable amount of money? I honestly hope so, if only for the sake of his new family. But what do you guys think? Should Justin sue his financial management team? Or do you think that he's the one responsible for this whole mess? And is it even possible for him to save his fortune at this point? In my opinion, he shouldn't bother wasting money on a lawsuit. It would be so much more effective for him to just cut down his spending to a more reasonable level, especially since he has a family now. It would be a total waste of time and money to go through what would be a very public trial with everybody digging through your personal spending records. He should just let this one slide and do his best to make better financial choices in the future. I hope he will anyway. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below.